Hello, my name is Christine, and I'm a licensed therapist. And today I'm stuck in my head. Did you know that?
I knew it.
Play the music. Play it. Alison,
Me.
play the music. Music. When you air drum, do you cross? Are you cross?
Apparently,
Legged?
I yeah, I do. I don't
Hmm?
know. I've never actually played drums, obviously.
That's so you've been
That's
lying all these
evident.
times. Um. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the podcast called Stuck in My Head, and this is a community service, is what we're
Mm,
providing,
hmm.
and it is for me and for Allison because we just love visiting in
We do.
in a public forum. We love trying to help people at some level. We're not sure how much of that we do, but like we do this every week. And the goal is to have a fun, engaging conversation and put something out into the world that could be helpful. And, we've been doing this is our third year of doing
I
this,
know. We're
right?
almost
Time, 4
almost.
years. That's so for the fourth season, let's change the name of it just for that 1 year. And we're going to call it, How Long You Been Doing This?
How long have we been doing this?
4 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Write that down.
That, that,
Never
that
write
joke
them.
lived on at New Life Ranch beyond me for a while. And it's like, it's just, there's nothing really that funny about it. So for those of you not in, I need to let you in because that's,
It's inclusive.
nice.
Yeah.
It's like snobbery to like keep
Yeah.
on going on. There was just a guy who was a senior when we were sophomores, and another guy. I'll I'll name the second guy that I grew up with because he is an active political figure in Georgia. His name's Randy Zerker. Randy
Mhm.
Zerker. Yeah, he is. He's run for a couple of offices, and I think he's in Athens, Georgia. And Randy was one of the funniest. He still is. He's just unbelievably funny. And my favorite Randy story, he went to JBU for a while, and then
Oh.
he lived in Fayetteville, and he got involved in politics in Fayetteville, and then he moved to Athens, Georgia. Anyway, when Randy was growing up in Ada, Oklahoma, like he wore really super. I've told you the story. I think he wore really really holy pants, like in the '80s,
Oh yeah.
kind of in the hair metal movement. A lot of people would like wear these jeans that were just ripped to shit. They just were
Yeah.
ripped up,
Shred it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, your jeans are shredded. And our superintendent principal at the time, Mr. Midgley, who was a wonderful man, but he was also kind of a disciplinarian, and we were all kind of squirrely, 16-year-olds. He said, Randy, come to my office. And he came in. He's like, I'm a little concerned about your jeans. And I want you to know that if you need some jeans, I have extras that we could provide for you. Because, I just want to make sure that you're all right. And, what a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah. I mean,
For,
he was
for your,
genuinely concerned.
for your
He didn't
school
know it was
administrator.
like a fashion choice.
Yeah. And so Randy said, why, yes, that would be excellent. Thank you. And so he took the jeans.
That's nice.
And then when it was hippie day for Spirit Week,
Hmm.
Randy had made a pair of bell bottoms that were about 4 feet wide at the bottom of the jeans with his aunt's sewing machine. They were like dresses on his legs. And we all knew that they were made from our principal's jeans. And he wore them all day with his little round sunglasses like John
Yeah.
Lennon.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. It was just spectacular. So he's like,
Spectacular.
what do you think of my jeans? So anyway, Randy, and the other story is not that funny, but it lived on at New Life
It
Ranch.
lives
So
on.
it really did live on. So I think there were three of us were riding in the back of this senior's car, and he was like speeding down Highway 69. And we were all of us underclassmen. It was me and Randy and Scott Wingard, who's a pastor and a physical therapist. That's a sweet combo, by the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he still lives back in God's country in Mays County. We're riding in the back, and The dude in front who was the upperclassman, the cool guy with the fast car, cranks his stereo,
Yeah.
and it was probably something like Motley Crue or Rat or
Oh,
Bon Jovi or White Snake, something hair related. Twisted
here.
Sister.
Yes.
Yes, we're not going to take it. And so, if I remember, he's driving and he's kind of like driving with his knees and playing the air
Mm,
drums.
yeah.
And he's making a face, and he's just doing this
Yeah.
with like and it's loud and we kind of look at each other and Randy is like, "Hey, how long have you been playing?" He's doing this. He meant it as a joke, He's playing
Yeah.
the air drums. How long have you been playing? And the guy leaned back over his shoulder. He's like, "About 4 years. About 4 years," and keeps on going. And we're just like, that's the whole story.
That's it. That's
And
the
then I would
whole
tell this. That's it. That's the whole thing.
correct.
So I would tell this story to my people at camp, and they're like, "That's awesome." And I'm like, "I know." So every time anyone air drummed, we would say, "How long have you been
You've been
playing?"
playing. And
And the
the
answer
correct
is
answer is
always,
always 4 years.
always 4 years. That's the story.
And I'm sticking to it.
And if you're driving right now, listening to the story, and you're a little unimpressed, we're just being genuine. We're just being real.
Just being authentic.
That's all we're doing. This is authentic.
Also, if
This is
you're driving and listening to this and you are the senior who was drumming, thank
who
you.
is unnamed, if you noticed.
He's unnamed. And he's definitely been going longer than 4 years at this point. I can promise you that.
That is 100% true because now we're kind of old. Well, let's get to our topics because
Yeah, I'm excited. That's not the right word. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I have felt this in my life before. This idea of, well, you do it.
the question is lonely in a relationship, the hidden epidemic. Can you be more lonely with someone than you are by yourself? Can you be more lonely with someone than you are by yourself? Studies show the perceived emotional disconnection can kind of predict distress more than the relationship status itself. So, like just being together with someone in a romantic relationship or just having a friend or that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, I find this to be an interesting phenomena, people that are hurting maybe worse
Mm.
than if they were on their own. And what does all that mean? And what do we do about it? Because I got to tell you, in my work lately, loneliness
Hmm.
every hour. It's a thing. Why am I dealing with rejection or the inability to socially connect
Mm.
and how my life is impacted by that? Epidemic,
Yeah.
epidemic. And what we looked at a little bit today, and what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is that plus also like, what does it mean? Like, there's people walking around and maybe even we have been in this experience where you're just like, I feel kind of lonely, disconnected, or maybe someone came to you and said that, like they're giving you the hard truth. They're like, I'm not feeling it, and it's awful
Mm.
because maybe it's supposed to be better. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about you know what you think about that. There's some research, there's some stuff we looked at. What does it mean to be lonely, even within the context of a relationship? And what do we do about it? Is there something we can do to help? So,
Yeah.
what's been maybe your experience, or what have you seen as a person who, you know, spends so much time and energy and love and empathy working with all your people? Tell me a little bit your thoughts.
Sure. Well, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it and I've felt it. And I think I kind of got to this place actually on my own in my own life before I ever met Ryan and dated him, where I had just kind of like been in a string of relationships where they weren't necessarily bad people.
Right.
I was way more in it than they were in it. I it I was like, pick me, choose me, love me. And they were like, what? I'm sorry, did you say something? Like, and and it was so lonely. And I was like, I think that was the first time I realized that you could be, because backstory, we moved a million bajillion times when I was little, and I always felt lonely because I was always the new kid. And so then a big part of my like story and life and choices was about never being alone because I thought if you're never alone, you're never lonely. And that's not the
Ah,
that's not true. It's not true.
super relevant topic here. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it's true at the lunch table in middle school, and it's true in your 20s when you're dating somebody who's not as into you as you are into them. And
Yeah.
and I remember like getting to this place where I was like, you know what? It's actually worse. It actually hurts worse to be in something and feel invisible and like forgettable and not seen by the person that you think is supposed to see you and pick you and whatever than it is to be all by myself. It is worse. And so if it can't be great with someone, I think I'd rather just be by myself. Speaking like from
Yeah.
a romantic relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there was a time in my life where I didn't necessarily know that yet. Like where I just thought, well, if you're with somebody, it's better to be in like a crappy relationship than in no relationship. And and I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's true. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. Now, to your point, which we've talked about before, there's a relationship that you have with yourself. And when you are not in a relation, in a relation, like in my case, when I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. This by myself is better. If I didn't have a good relationship with myself, that would have highlighted that, like, but it is entirely false to think as long as I'm not alone, I won't be lonely.
I
Because just
want to bring up,
proximity doesn't mean
that's
being
correct.
being known.
Yeah. Like when you're saying kind of
Yeah.
like you're in a relationship, I'm in a relationship with this person, but I'm doing all the work and I'm feeling neglected, but then think about this. It interacts with, and you brought this up, it interacts with your history. It
Hmm.
interacts with your perception of self that gets developed over time because
Hmm.
of your history. And also, your super young brain is like kind of navigating these spaces. In ACT therapy, we call them schemas. And a schema is it's like an assumption, a schematic, a framework of our relational and emotional lives that we develop when we're young kids that is super stable. And usually the news isn't always great. It's kind of like an assumption we make about the world or ourselves that we don't like, but it kind of gets locked in because then we live our lives to cope, to avoid that fear and belief that kind of got locked in. And
Right.
so if you're a victim of abuse or neglect, like this happens like automatically and gets in your body, but also chronic stressors just of growing up. And so like your
Yeah.
situation of going to a different school in a different town so many times, and there's nobody blame. It's just like part of life, but it
Yeah.
does have negative impact and it gets in your brain, it gets in your head, and then you develop a way of figuring that out as you get older, and it doesn't kind of it really doesn't go away. And so then what happens is, I mean, I can go on and on about this, but like I don't think we realize that the conflict that we're having in those times is not as much about, it might be a lot about the other person because they might be a douchebag. So there's that, right? They might not be a good person.
Right.
They might not be a giver, but you're not just fighting them or feeling neglected by them or feeling like it's lopsided with them. You're having an internal conflict
Yes, because
about
it's
what
confirming your what you were worried about all the time, the whole
that's
time.
correct.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have another voice inside your head that's probably something like this, like, oh, well, but here's what I hope for, and here's what I want. And then there's another voice that says, here's how it ought to be according to God and my parents and my culture.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then, of
And
course,
then
the awful voice that's like, see, that's not for you. It's for everyone else but you, or
yeah,
whatever,
right.
the
Right.
sad voice.
Right. And so, to
All voices.
get on the book train, like that's ridiculously like it's disorienting, you
Sure.
know? And
Sure.
and so it makes it possible that we could be together and yet alone.
There is a woman named Sherry Turkle who wrote a book called Alone Together. And ironically, she wrote it in 2011 or 12, yeah, 2011. And her premise, it's more about like we have more opportunities for digital connection than ever before, but why are we so
Oh,
lonely?
right.
It's more about like
Uh-huh.
kind of fake connections that are robbing us from real connections. Like put your phone away and have a real live conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's it's funny because she wrote that book in 2011 talking about this
Yeah.
epidemic of loneliness, but now it seemed like there was a switch where it was like COVID was the reason, right? Like in 2020, it just everyone got so lonely. And I think everyone was lonely before. Now, when the world
Yeah.
shuts down and you don't have anywhere to go, it obviously is like a giant spotlight on it. But I don't think it's new as in the last 5 years, but it is absolutely a problem.
Oh no, it's killing people every day. I said this to a client just yesterday. We were talking about it. I'm like, there are people in this city who are dying because they're lonely.
Mm.
Like, it's no joke. It's a real thing. Some of the stuff that we looked up regarding this particular topic, like if you're out there and you're listening, like the Gottmans, which is like
Mhm.
there's a marital therapy thing,
The
and they call
Gottman
it
method.
the Gottman method, and they're great. Like they are awesome, and I have people on my team that use it, that do it, that are trained in it, and a few things we might riff on to say, and then kind of talk about it a little bit, and then maybe get into like how can we help each other.
Mm.
But we have to remember, and I think this is where this really rubber really meets the road for me, is about like in raising kids or in people that you have proximity to, which basically means this loneliness is about perception, not proximity. It's
Mm.
about what you believe according to the past, present, and future about your situation.
Mm.
And especially if you are on like the downside of what you described as a lopsided relationship,
Yeah.
your perception of that creates your reality, which then creates generally a coping space that tends to make it worse. And our loneliness, because we're dying inside, usually our options are to just crawl in a hole and be depressed, or to try really hard to get people to make us not lonely.
Hmm.
It's a fight or flight
Yeah.
or freeze kind of a vibe, but it's really about the perceived emotional disconnection, you know. And fun fact, which is
Oh,
not,
is
well,
this fun?
we've had some very fun topics lately. Um, Married people can report, like it's not unusual if they report a higher like loneliness factor than
Sure.
single people.
For sure. Because sitting in your living room at night and thinking in your head, I have this really hard thing I want to talk about, but I can't tell that person doesn't want to hear it. Whether that's true or not, it is really neither.
Mhm.
It's because perception, right? If you believe, I can't tell that person that, or they haven't even noticed that I'm downcast or whatever. Like that's that's
Forlorn. They haven't noticed that you're
forlorn.
forlorn.
They haven't even noticed my forlornness. That is worse than sitting in your house by yourself because
It
then
is.
there isn't anyone to notice your forlornness. So it's not, yeah,
And it's also terrible whenever you're the person not noticing, but you're just living your life and you're missing it. And now
you're
there's great
missing it.
shame.
Yes, you're just completely missing.
Why was I not aware and there for you when you needed me? And we just keep
Wasn't on
missing. And
purpose. Yeah.
no, no. I mean, but I do think that the world in which we live in, like we end up living these parallel lives in our families, which is kind of like I do a thing,
Oh yeah,
you're
like
doing a thing,
roommates,
kind of running beside each other. Yeah, absolutely. And in
which
our
I think
marriages,
it's
even raising kids,
I think it's Gottman maybe or anyone in the whole world maybe that like the fighting's not great. Like when you're fighting with someone all the time, that's not fun. But the silence is what's dangerous. Like when you slip into the like when you're fighting, at least you're trying, right? Like I
hmm
don't know what, you may not be trying for the right thing. You may be trying to be right or trying to win or whatever, but you're at least trying. When you just like
hmm
stop
hmm
altogether, it's like, listen, I think let's just like live our life and we happen to live under the same roof and like that's the danger zone, I would presume.
I mean,
Not that you
it
can't return
is.
from that, but that's
No,
like
we we have to get oriented for ourselves and share that location with the people that we love. And if it's not us that are feeling the loneliness, we need to check in on the orientation of those that we love. Like, think about it. How many times have you felt neglected or rejected? And you and I have a little bit of that in common. I mean, my story is different. Like, your story might be about like having to re-up every time and where do you stand and what's disorienting about that whenever you're more young and vulnerable. And mine is like I had super stable life, but I also had half of my life was like kind of missing.
yeah.
And so I'm like, where's the guy in my life that's going to connect? And I wasn't asking for this, like literally. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm fine, but I wasn't, because I developed a whole bag of tricks to keep you
Mm,
from leaving me, and which served me well,
right.
when it comes to like making fast friends. But when it
Mhm.
comes to kind of like my inner dialogue and my truly my feelings of loneliness at times were kind of spurred on by something that wasn't my fault at all. But I can't not feel that way sometimes. And it's so the answer many times is it's orienting. They use this phrase, and when I say orienting, I mean like a verb, like doing things to orient or
Yeah.
saying the thing about how I feel or what I want or what I will do or won't do.
Mhm.
Like I notice that this is going on between us, and since we're married, like I don't want that. Or since you're my best friend, I wish that was different.
Mhm.
Like someone having the courage to be able to say those things really, really matters. A couple things that they mentioned I thought was super interesting. They call them bids. Gottman's call them bids.
Kids.
And basically it's kind of like tossing, yeah, bid, like I'm making a bid on an auction item. Like
Yeah.
they kind of like it's like tossing a line out into the pond, like looking for a fish. And it's like hints, that and we said this last week, that can be problematic, especially when talking to a teenager. They're tossing the hint and you're like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, fine. I'm
They're
fine.
like, yeah,
Is that the voice that Merrick uses? She's
it's
like,
my mom.
no, it would be really great if she could adopt her brother's voices. I'm
Oh,
fine.
Lord.
Yeah. Um,
Right. They give a
but
lot of,
like,
yep, yep. Okay. Well, I hate
so,
that word
so,
now.
so what they suggest, right? But, and this is interesting though, because it's just like almost every other movement in our lives that is organic and creates healing and growth, is that it's like they talk about noticing little things and making small changes that are kind of aligned with your commitment. Like if you want the relationship to not be characterized by loneliness, You've got to notice those hints, those bids. You got to talk about things, and you got to kind of like name it. You got to say, "This is what I'm experiencing," and you have to trust that the person in your life will like respond. Man, this is a risk. I'm telling you, relationships are dangerous shit.
Yeah, they
Holy
are.
moly. Yeah.
Because you may get real brave one day and be like, "Hey, this is how I feel." Um, and I would love it if you would fill in the blank. And they may be like,
Mhm.
no." Oh, okay.
I
No, that, yeah, sure.
have I have spent so many man hours encouraging people to do what you just said.
Hmm.
But what's crazy is that when you think you understand these things, and then maybe like your child comes to you with that request, they like brave up
Yep.
and they're like, Dad, I don't think that you were really paying attention, and that kind of hurt my feelings. It's amazing that my first response, I'm not like overtly defensive, but I'm caught off guard and I'm like, what?
Are you sure?
Really? Come on. I mean, I'm out here doing my best. And
You
and
wait
I'm
till
like,
you're a parent.
I know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm missing the boat.
Yeah.
Like if I could just listen and create space for that thing to be said and let it sit and like get outside of my ego just a second and be like, wait, this is just what they need. I could respond. But the suggestion is naming it out loud and then responding in small ways.
Yeah.
So,
Conversely, on the other side, just being present and paying attention. Notice. Notice.
yeah, I don't know about you, but like I sometimes I tend to be kind of non-committal with people, but like if they're an intimate relationship in your life and you're feeling like there's a disconnect, like saying I will be there on Tuesdays to have dinner, I'm there. Like just put the intimate relationship above other things on a
Yeah.
regular basis. Like functionally, literally on your calendar,
Yep.
showing up to the thing where you don't even have to really prepare yourself emotionally. You don't have to like bring your A game or feel a certain way. Just show up like when you say like do the thing you say you're going to do.
Thing. Yeah, that you said you were going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not like a massive shift. It's like a little thing that like over time becomes solid gold.
But can we also just like say out loud too, outside of like marriage relationships, just like how hard it is to make new friends as a grown up? Like as an
Bro,
adult, it's so hard. Like you kind of bank on your kids. Like if you're married or and then have kids, you're kind of like, oof, I hope my kids' friends' parents are cool because I don't know how else I'm gonna meet people. Like, or when you like, I hear this a lot from like students that we've had that, they've graduated college and they get the job in Dallas or whatever, and they move and they're like, man, I don't like anybody I work with. I I just like I guess I'll try to go to church. I don't know, but it is really hard to make friends. I'm like, uh-huh. Yep.
I have a thing on this I'd like to say that I think is helpful. You know, I was like Peter from the Brady Bunch just then.
You say
I think it's helpful. When it's time to change, it's time to rearrange.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway.
you're Brady.
Um, but frankly, like a lot of people that I say this to, they're kind of like, yeah, that's nice. Movement to the point of some of these suggestions, like is on your own, feels just super weird, unusual, difficult.
Yeah.
Whether you have an anxiety diagnosis or not, if you've got one of those, like you tend to be like, don't want to do it. But I will say this: there are a couple of places as an adult, there's some nuance to this, but so like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, probably the best place to meet people is at a church. Except the
Except
yeah. And let me say this: you just gonna
caveat of
you stay out of the fray since you work at a church, okay?
right.
Right. Like, wait a second, you're like a adult. You can say what you want. Um, my take is this: that because there are all of these moral rules to engaging the church community, for sure in evangelicalism,
Hmm.
it's just kind of like, if you do A, B, C, and D, you're in the club. If you don't, you can't really get in the club, even if you show up to the club. And there might be some micro communities in more conservative churches that pull this off, but I've not seen a lot of it. And so as long as you kind of like toe the line behaviorally, like it's a great place to meet people because you're kind of all on the same page. The research into what we would call monocultures is
Hmm.
super interesting, which means that either any kind of life forms, like plants, animals, people, whenever it's all the same, like it tends to kind of create craziness. Like like when you read Malcolm Gladwell's book, I think it's called Return or Revenge of the Tipping Point. There's like 2 or 3 chapters on monocultures where he basically like examines the study from, I believe it was a suburb in Houston. Maybe it was another southern city. Maybe he doesn't say that. Maybe I just thought it was Houston, where basically like it was like incredibly the same, and people loved it. Like they all had the same kind of houses, they all went to the same school, they all had the same values, they all had the same political party, they all went to the same churches, and people like praised that. They said, we know each other, we can just like walk in and out of each other's homes, like there's just this safety. And then one year, like kids started dying,
Yeah.
and
I heard him talk about this. Like the suicide
it's
rate went like because
yeah,
they
it was
as soon as they didn't fit they were like, there's not a spot for me here.
that's correct. There's nowhere to go.
Oh yeah.
That is correct. And so the more rigid your system is, particularly in a religious system that like exalts community and connection, like you just got to play by these rules. And so, in my opinion, if you want to meet people at a church, liberal is better if that's what you want,
Hmm.
because there's just more of an emphasis on acceptance and like just meeting people and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if your church isn't that way, it's fine, whatever. But that's my take on it. Like I'm like, church could be good. It also could be really bad. There's
Sure.
certain kind of churches that are maybe more conducive for it. But
You
one thing
also
that
can go
church
to church
has,
and hide. You can
yeah,
like go to church and no one even notice you're there, which is worse. Like if you show
yeah,
up to church because you're lonely and no one even notices that you walked in the door, that's terrible.
yeah, that's a problem. But like it's just all these relational dynamics. The other thing about a church, which is also true about bars, um, I think bars are not a great choice for that either, because mainly when we meet people at bars, if it's someone of the opposite sex, it's just about like kind of like how they look and are they quick-witted. And like there's kind of a couple of bars that are kind of emphasized, and but they don't it doesn't last and it can be harmful. But all the pressure is on making the friend or hooking up or connection. Like it's all about connection. And I think that if we want to meet people, we shouldn't be meeting people where that's the singular goal.
Mm,
Because when it doesn't work, I got nowhere to go.
yeah.
And so I think we need to be meeting people where I'm interested in the thing you're interested in.
Like a
And
concert.
exactly, a concert, any kind of club, glass blowing, running,
Yeah.
biking, Catan, you know?
Yes.
Um, And so what the beauty of that kind of thing, and we experienced this in the bike community because we'd show up to these group rides and you're like everyone's kind of decked out, getting ready to go do their ride, and you're like, oh gosh, are these people too fast? I'm gonna work too hard. Is it weird? Like there's all those seventh grade feelings that come up.
Oh yeah.
But if if you're there because you like bikes and you're like, maybe I could meet some people. I mean, I want that,
Yeah.
but it's like everything doesn't rise and fall on that. It's
Right.
kind of more about riding my bike, or it's more about going to the Fleet Feet running. I'm going to do 10K, couch 10K.
Yeah.
And so what happens, and it's kind of awesome. It's like if you show up every week, and it's even better if it's more than once a week. It's kind of like when you go to school, like you got to be there, and all of a sudden there's this person that sits across from you, and you don't have to be their friend.
Mm.
You could be like, oh well, it looks like that politically we're like way separate, so we'll be acquaintances who like bikes. Oh, I know them. But then the more that you're rubbing shoulders with people and you discover somebody who's funny or has interesting things, typically you kind of strike up friendships and relationships. But there's no pressure because you
Yeah.
both like bikes. You both like bikes, or you both like glass
Yeah.
blowing, or you're just like into trying a thing like square dancing.
Oh, my grandparents used to square dance. No, and I that's where I blew it when we were moving around. Now, granted, I was like in the fifth grade, so
Yeah,
whatever.
right. Yeah.
But
You were
I mean,
responsible for all of it
I
anyway.
can vividly remember hanging out with somebody, like being new, and like we were friends at school, and then you get the invite to do like a sleepover. Maybe you do one of those, and then I would be real quick with the like, so should we go to the mall and get the best friend necklace? Are you like now or? And they were like, whoa, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. And I just like, it's like deep down is kind of like sad and precious. Like I just wanted someone to claim me, right? Like I just wanted someone to be like,
Yeah, right.
that's my best friend. And I'm like, oh yeah, and that's my best friend, and like we're best friends. And like not so that we could be mean to other people, not so that we could never have any other friends ever again.
Yeah,
But like, but when you put all
yeah.
that pressure, it it's crushing. And so yeah, like you're saying, if you just like, I don't know, you want to learn to run, oof. I mean, good for you, first of all. Way to go. Um, I'm like Chat GPT in that way. Uh, Side note about
Yeah,
Chat.
but some people show up to those. Yeah, but some people show up to those things being like, okay, I'll walk and I'll do 20-minute pace. There's other people there.
Yeah. Just side note about Chat, by the way. I was just like, did I already talk
Yeah.
about this on here? I think I did. That like I was like, hey Chat,
Oh,
I'm 44-year-old woman seeking cardiovascular health and some muscle tone. What do you recommend?
I think you did to me. Yeah.
And then, but then Chat says to me, first line, hey, way to go. Like, super proud of your effort. And I was like, you know what, Chat? Forget it. Forget the plan. That was all I needed. I just needed someone to tell me, go you.
Oh my gosh.
But
You're so great.
I
Yeah.
think it's on to, I think when the real connection, the couch to 10K or the glass blowing club or the whatever feels, even that feels like no way is this, it's too daunting, it's too scary. We will settle for Chat GPT. Hey girl, you're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. I
Yeah.
mean, I heard somebody the other day, like in the background of the world, say, I talked to Chat last night for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's happening all the time now
And
because we
so,
need it.
because we need it, because we're lonely, but that ain't ever
Yeah.
gonna get that ain't ever gonna get it done.
No, it's going to build up something. It feels a little like cancer on the inside. You're just like, "Ugh, something's not right here." And it
Because
will
you're
build
gonna
and
talk
build
to
and build.
Chat for 2 hours and then it's gonna turn into 2 weeks, and then you're gonna get invited to a wedding where you need a plus one, and all you want to take is this chat, and you
Your
can't
computer.
take, I mean,
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, one of the things that like as far as like how to help, besides kind of like this
yeah,
conversation
how
about
do we
how to meet
know?
people, there's this just basic principle about, and this is true if you're the one feeling lonely or if you notice that someone is feeling lonely, and that is about like turning towards versus turning away or turning against or just ignoring. So like the idea of turning towards is basically this idea of saying, like, tell me more, or asking for what you need. Like, now that's a scary thing because you're asking for more. Some
Yeah,
people can't do it very well,
yeah,
but it's just different than ignoring because you don't know what to do.
Mm.
Like, I get it that I and you, we can't tell people what to do and it, or we can, but they might not do it. But being oriented in yourself enough to like tell the truth about a situation, I'm feeling X, I'm turning towards.
Yeah.
We have to, we have to do it. Or I'm uncomfortable with this. And if you're feeling lonely, like some people just won't know. Most people don't pay attention to other people.
Yeah.
We're generally thinking about ourselves and like about three other people, like
And
occasionally
we're
during
not
our
always
day.
paying that good attention to ourselves, honestly.
Correct.
If we're being
Right.
honest, like
Yeah.
we're numbing out on whatever. Like and you can be estranged from yourself. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. So turning into
yeah.
relationship is an answer, but it can be done in little itty bitty ways.
Yeah.
Like ignoring, not going to help. Turning against, I mean, like that's just going to make it worse unless it deserves to be worse. I mean, like I mean, there's a place for a boundary here sometimes.
For
If
sure.
if you're like on the downhill side of a lopsided relationship, I would say this, that like, if you're given 30% and someone's given 70, now it doesn't help to keep score, but like this is our overall vibe, you know, it might help us to quit giving 70% energy.
And just see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Like
did that once. I was like, let's
give
do
them,
an experiment.
yeah, give them the 30% energy because that's kind of what you get and see how that goes.
Yeah.
But usually, whenever you put yourself in proximity to some other people that I think might be kind of interesting, like give them your best.
Mhm.
Like give them 70% energy. You just got to remember that like everybody has this emotional bank account and it needs to be contributed towards. If ours is not being contributed into, we need to lean into the relationship and we got to ask for
Yeah.
it. And we got to decide what we're willing to get because we're making a deal with our spouses, with our friends,
Yeah.
what's going to work. And doing little things, that's always the answer. Like orienting where we are. I am here now. It's not where I ought to be. Why do
Mhm.
people always do this to me? I'm like, I don't know if anyone's doing anything to you, but like, let's look at where we are right
There are.
now. Yeah. And what do we want? What do we ultimately want? I want to have more friends. Well, it's going to just require doing something. Will
Mhm.
you match with every single person? Will your loneliness be cured? Not overnight. No. Can you rub shoulders with
I-
people that might have something in common with you? Hell yeah, you can.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a hard thing, but because it used to not, all of life, however many years ago, used to be kind of a slow game. Like everything was slow, right? Everything took time. And now everything is so instant. We don't really practice slow game stuff. But man,
Right.
relationships are they are a long game. Like, and yeah, there's moments where it's like instant click and oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But the like really getting to know someone, really letting them in, really letting them see you on the day that's really hard, like that's long game stuff. And
It is.
practice, we don't practice anything almost in our life that's, I mean, you were talking about fast lunch, right? Like versus slow lunch, like your
Yeah.
90-second meatloaf versus your 0-second
It's too
pizza.
long.
Like, we don't have time for this shit. Like, just
We
cannot
don't
be
have time for
bothered.
this.
But I mean, but I don't know how to like, yeah, it feels like the only way to solve it is like one person deciding that for themselves, but also culturally, it is like an epidemic culturally.
Right. We have to lean in to the relationship with ourselves, our own needs, to relationships with others to get clarity. Here's how I think it's going. How do you think it's going? Here's what I need. Hey, you, tell me more about that. I think the word we haven't used yet, which is all over the book, is the word curiosity.
Yeah.
And when we're doing leading parallel lives, our curiosity kind of starts to die.
Yep. We're just not
Tell me,
curious.
tell me more. Don't tell you if you feel like you're kind of on the edge of an argument, like take a breath and say, tell me more. Like help
Yeah.
me understand you. I'm super curious because you've got great value.
Or I can think about like Ryan was saying he went to dinner. One of the boys came home. I, of course, had something, and the two of them just went out to dinner. And during dinner, Parker said something like, "Well, how's work going?" And it was like,
Your kid says that. I love that.
yeah, right? Like they were curious. They
Yeah.
were curious about us. It's our job,
Mm.
of course, to be curious about them. And it's like not a thing I go around thinking about, like, man, why don't they ever ask me about my day? Because it's just
Uh-huh.
but when they do, you're like, that's so nice. Thank you so much.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like be curious about other people.
Yeah. I say that those of us that tend to find ourselves on the giving side of things relationally, that is a good way to be.
Mm.
But we have to ask for it from those that we need. And when it's not working right, we have to kind of slow down and lean into the relationship to get clarity. And
Yeah.
otherwise, because of our fear of blowing something up, those parallel lives or that loneliness that exists within the context of the relationship increases,
Mhm.
and it creates other parallel thoughts and fused up thoughts and emotions that are generally aren't helpful for us. And so getting it out there, maybe practicing it in therapy or through
Yep.
journaling, and then with the relationships that are most important to you, when it's not clicking right and you're feeling lonely, say something.
And I know there's
And
somebody out there, probably me, also, I've been this person, where you think, but I shouldn't have to.
yeah, no shit. Yeah, you
I
shouldn't.
shouldn't have to say, hey, notice that I'm sad, or I shouldn't have to say whatever. And that's true. In a perfect world, you shouldn't have to. And you have to.
Yeah, it's not,
Sometimes,
that's not perfect.
sometimes you
Also,
just have to.
when you ask for it, like if we get over our fear of not having it fulfilled, which is a massive fear, but look, there's a gazillion people in the world that want to know you. So there's that. If we can get over our fear of it not working out, then all we're doing is clarifying and getting information. Hey, I'm not loving how this is going. Like I feel kind of isolated. I want this to be different. And when your partner or whoever it is, your friend is just like, the hell? What?
I have
And
no
they
idea.
can't, yeah, they can't handle that. It's just information. You probably need to go to the bike club a little more. Saying, I'm not trying to get people to like have affairs. Not my point. I kind of heard that in my brain. I'm like, yeah. But, that's clarifying. I want this to be a little different. All you're doing is you're getting a vote in the situation and people can't read your minds. When you're on the other side of things, like being curious and thinking about emotional bank accounts, like filling them in small ways. Attention. Good night. We've been talking about attention every week, but that is the thing. And it's paradoxical too, because you're like, I'm lonely. I need someone to pay attention to me. The answer to that if you're in my office is I'm like, how are you paying attention to yourself and how are you paying attention to this problem?
Yeah.
Because we just can't make it other people do stuff.
No, and that we hate that. That's the
You know
part
what
we
we do? It's hard.
That's why we don't talk out
Yeah.
loud. That's why we don't ask because uh, maybe I don't actually have a problem saying out loud what I want. What I have a problem with was not being able to control how you're going to answer the question or how you're going to respond.
Right. And so that response, the meaning of that response needs to be redefined. It's a great reason to go to therapy. Just want to say the meaning of that response
Or I
has
could
to
do
be
that.
redefined. Yeah, people can go to therapy. You
No,
can
but
go.
do you know like a place? Like, are you
Oh
familiar
yeah, GPS therapies. It's in Tulsa, Bixby, Broken Arrow, Owasso, in
online?
God's Country, Silent Springs, online, and at several independent offices of your choosing. Yeah. Like, so you can clarify that stuff. You can go to therapy and be like, I shouldn't have to. And the therapist is probably gonna say, yeah, they're like, what about you? And then like the idea of not even like as a rebel standing up for yourself, just like literally getting a vote in the situation and bringing information to the forefront. where you can be like, I feel lonely. And if you're perpetually lonely, like that's a therapy thing, like talk about it. Like some of it's about what you believe about the deal. And so
Yes.
if we believe something different about how people were going to communicate with us, even if people like communicated poorly to us, be like, oh, they're not in, like it might not be devastating. So that head game, that relationship with self when it comes to loneliness, that relationship with your history, all of that matters. And so if you can, in small ways, because that's how we get lonely, by the way. It's usually not with a massive rejection.
No.
It's like death by a thousand cuts. It's like little things. And so if we're going to undo that stuff, little things. And
Yeah.
it helps if you have someone to walk beside you, a mentor, a friend, a therapist, a pastor,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. Because I also thought I need to do a group that's about helping people with loneliness. And I saw someone in Tulsa doing that just recently for women. It's true. And I'm like, yes, more of this. This is good.
Yeah.
So, well, you and I mean, I don't know about me, but I will say that you potentially wasted a whole hour of your life in the last hour. I mean,
Didn't waste it. Nothing's.
okay. Well, I said that so you'd come back and be like, oh my gosh, no, this is good.
I know. Because you're feeling lonely and you need me to encourage.
Right.
I noticed.
Affirmation.
I noticed. No, this
Tell me
was
more.
great. So curious about you. No, I think it was good. And I think, yeah, I think just working on relationship with self and being brave. And I'm a big journaler fan. So out there, you don't have to go hard and say it out loud right away. Practice it. Write it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Our buddy Valerie Larson Howard, she would say, remember, like, write for 20 minutes.
Yes.
Like your creative brain will start to pop and you'll get some clarity, which is crazy, without even any prompts. Like, yeah, you should do that. Hey, I will plan on seeing you next week.
I'll be here.
Same time, same place. Thank you, Drew King, for your edits of
Andrew.
taking out all of our bad words. And I don't know, I just said that. And adding music. And 4 years, all that.
All of it.
Okay. Hey, I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you, if not before next week, I'll talk to you next week. Thank you,
Sounds
Alison.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Have a good week.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.